in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
Hi, I'm Chelsea Severson, and I am in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Okay, I'm Hillary Davis, and I live in Salt Lake City, Utah.
I'm Eva. I'm Yolame, and I'm in Rexburg, Idaho.
We're all over the place, I see.
Okay. Very good. We're going to start our discussion here. What doctrines tied to the family were the most significant to you and why?
Okay, I'll start if you guys don't mind.
Go ahead.
Okay, one of the things that stuck out to me, I'll read it to you guys. It was a quote from President Taft Benson, and it says, "This order of family government, where a man and woman enter into a covenant with God, just as did Adam and Eve, to be sealed for eternity, to have posterity, is the only means by which we can one day see the face of God and live. This to me." Oh, and then that was the quote, and then I don't know, I thought that was really interesting. I'd never really, I don't know, thought about it that way. It just says that this is the only way that we can see the face of God and live. So I'm like, okay, then that makes sense. Then if this is the only way that we can see God and live, then there's no other way that that marriage between a man and a man will never work, because then you can't see the face of God and live through it. We can go after this. So I just thought that was, I don't know, to me I thought that was really interesting and kind of something new that I learned from reading this. But
I just have a quick question. Did you guys also do the 7? It says the definitions of the evolving family. Like we're supposed to list the
we're supposed to like 1, 2, 3.
1 through 7.
Yes, I did that as well.
I did
Okay.
it too.
Okay.
And then the group activity about the challenging activity and all that other stuff. You guys did that one, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
The challenging stuff I think you do on your own after this.
With the group activity?
Yeah, I think you answer those questions on your own.
Really?
I thought it said.
I thought that was like the opposite.
It says compromising is necessary. Complete the activity as a group. Compromising is necessary through your discussion to arrive at a final answer that best represents the thoughts and ideas of the entire group as to the definition of the family, and then answer these questions. So I wasn't sure because I don't know. I hope I did it right. But those are the questions that I answered. So.
Yes. Okay. Because there were some right at the beginning.
Yeah, the new normal.
Yes.
And I thought that one was for the individual.
No, well, under the Doctrine of the Family tab, there was 4 questions that you were supposed to answer when you watched that video of Elder Bednar. And you answered those, and then
oh, okay, great.
Yeah, those, and then the list of 7. I think that's what it is.
And down below it says group activity.
Yeah.
Now answer those questions. What was challenging about this activity?
Yeah, we answer those together, correct?
Yes, I think we do.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was in the right spot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's good.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess I really liked Sister Beck's talk, and I said I really liked that she explained the theology of the family. They all need to understand the threats to the family before we can prepare for the battle, I guess. I really like that because if we don't know, we can't, if somebody asks us a question, we can't back it up with anything, because if you don't know, you can't defend, and if you can't defend, you're going to lose the battle. And that's, I feel like, what we're doing now is we're losing the battles of family, because some of those definitions of the family were just, those facts and stats were just astounding to me. I'm like, that's just so sad, but if you think about it, that's really all around it. Even including my siblings are like that. They cohabitate, and then they break up, and then they live with somebody else. And my dad has been married several times. He's trying to find the quote-unquote right one, and I live in a college town, and everybody is chaos, I guess, and relationship-wise and family-wise. Because I got my hair cut yesterday, and she was explaining to me that she's been living with this guy for 8 years, and he has a daughter with somebody else, and it was just, it was complicated to say the least, I guess. And that's all around us. Everybody's like
That's
that.
true.
It's sad. It really is sad, and no one seems to understand the importance of doing things in the right order. If you
Way.
mess up the order, then it all falls apart. It doesn't work, or not that it can't. It just makes it 10 times harder than it has to be. You
Right.
know, families are already hard enough as it is. Why make it even more complicated by trying to jump up 4 steps when you should just be doing it 1 step at a time?
Right.
And people just kind
Like,
of look at you like you're crazy nowadays. Like, wait, what? You don't live together before you get married? Like,
yes.
how do you even know? I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, like, 1 step at a time. Like, there's an order for a reason, and the order worked for so many years. Why are we all starting to change it now? You know, it's just
Yeah, why mess up a good thing?
yeah, it's just Satan. He's sneaking his way in every way he can, and sadly, he's so, cunning and good at hiding it that everyone just falls right into the trap. And so I
That's true.
like that talk. You really do have to know what your ground is so that you can stand on it and defend it and help others understand it as well.
Mhm.
That we all really need to work on those stats there because those were really bad. Really
That's
bad.
true.
Well, that, and if I have kids and I take the kids to school or we're on the playground or whatever and I'm talking to their mom,
It's
I
tiresome
don't
for the
ask if
significant.
she's married.
Yeah,
Hello?
Mm-hmm.
we're here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I don't ask the other mom if she's married. I ask how many kids she has. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Do either of the other two have? Do you guys want? Is there something that stuck out to you guys the most?
Yeah, I was mentioning of how I love at the beginning of the talk, Sister Beck, she mentioned how a man and a woman like it's like they make up each other, like they're the halves of each other to create a family, and because like talking about like marriage, like
I think you cut out.
Uh,
man, the
yeah.
family, and not to me, and so. Yeah, that really stood out to me. Just kind of like it just made sense. Like without a man, there's no woman, and without a woman, there's no man. Like it's like Heavenly Father, He had a great plan, and one half of the plan of salvation depends on a man, and then the second half of the plan of salvation depends on a woman, and the two of them come together creates like the whole plan of salvation, and that's something that really stood out to me that I really love about the talk.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. I like that.
Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. For me, the thing that stood out for me was the same, like the very beginning of the talk for Sister Beck, where it talks about the plan of salvation, but also I really liked the creation part of it and also the atonement, because honestly, I hadn't really thought about how the atonement, goodness, how it allows for the family to be sealed together. I mean, obviously the atonement's there for us to have eternal life and to be able to do that, but the plan of happiness is also the plan of salvation. So, I'm sorry, take it over there. It was created for families, and hold on just a second.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry. I was trying to scoot a stool over to my 8-year-old, and I accidentally smashed her toe. So she's getting. I'm sorry, hon. Oh my. Anyway, but yeah, so I really think that when I looked at the questions and then thought about the doctrines of tithes that were most significant, also the one that if
Sorry.
Latter-day Saints, or if like the doctrine or principle that understood that would motivate Latter-day Saints to advocate for the family would be the plan of salvation, like its entirety. If you knew that you could be with your family again of course you're going to fight for the family because you want other people to also have the opportunity to be with their families. And even though they may not understand it now, you know, like in this term of their life or in this, even in this life, if they never ever understand it, they'll have the opportunity to be taught, and they'll probably, hopefully
Okay.
want to have a family and want to be, you know, sealed eternally with their family. So I think the atonement it's very significant, you know, considering the plan of salvation. So.
Yeah, I like that.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Okay, you guys ready to move on to the next question?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. How well do you think that the average young adult understands the doctrine of the family? I just basically put, I think a lot of the LDS youth understand, especially the ones that have been kind of brought into the church when, at a young age. But the more I talk to the youth that are not in the church, they don't quite seem to understand. Like most of the time, that the ones that I've talked to, their families are already messed up, or you know, mixture of 3 and 4 different dads and moms and stepbrothers, and so they don't quite understand what um the ideal family looks like, and why it was set up that way. So I mean, among our own people, or LDS people, I think they do understand for the most part the doctrines of the family, but the rest of the world is definitely does not understand it.
Fine. I totally agree. The church, we teach about family. That the family is the foundation. It's a building block of our church, and so, but the world just doesn't see it like that. So it's a kind of division between church and the world, I guess, being worldly. I think you can be in the world but not to be worldly. I mean, my mom and dad are divorced for 24 years, and my dad has been remarried several times, and I've had stepbrothers and stepsisters and different stepmoms, and then they get divorced, and then he marries somebody else, and we were, my whole family was inactive when we were, I was 12 when we went inactive, and I have an older brother and 2 younger sisters, and they've all taken different paths, and so comparatively speaking from my life, because I went back to church right before my 18th birthday, and they've never come back to church. We have very different views on family, and I guess, and that completely shows in our different lives. Even though we are still family and we love each other and get along, we have very different lives.
Mm.
Because I'm in the church and they're not.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. I know, like, you being an example is gonna help them. It might not take like the time that you're expecting them to, but it will definitely happen.
Yeah, I pray every night, every morning.
Yeah, it will happen. Something that kind of just stood out to me with the question was how like on my mission, because I just got back from my mission, and like I know I'll talk about mission, sorry, because it's just an experience I just had and came out from. But like I just saw a lot of like youths, and how it's so true. A lot of the youths don't really understand the importance of a family, or sometimes they don't even know the reason why we have family. Some of them have like bad feelings towards their parents because maybe their parents didn't do something well, and a lot of like this generation right now is just really focused on like just like the worldly things, not really like the doctrine. And I feel like almost like closely up to like above 50% of youths don't understand the importance of families and why we should have families. Like they see like maybe other families, but they don't know the reason why, you know?
Right. I agree. I mean, even in the church, I think we're taught to be in a family, but I think this is going to sound horrible, but we go to church 1 day a week, and those kids are in school 5 days a week, and they see those examples around them too, and it makes them question, what is really true? What does it mean to them? What does it mean to their family? And friends can be a great influence on your kids, for good or for ill things, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think that's horrible to say that, because I felt the same way. I thought, well, the people who understand it is people who were raised in the church. My husband, he joined the church when he was 12, and he says, I missed all the primary, but I was able to go to young men's and enjoy that. But when you are brought up in the church, even if you leave the church like my sister did when she was 18 or 19, and she eventually came back, and my husband thinks it's because what you learn in those younger years, even though it's all redundant and even though it's all repetitive, it always stays with you. No matter what happens, it's there. And so if you go down the wrong path, or you make poor choices in your family life, eventually, someday, who knows when, it could be on your deathbed. I'm not saying that it would be, but you will always have in the back of your mind what you learned in primary and what you learned in young women's, and those things will come back to you because it's the truth. And so sometimes I think it's hard, even for the youth of the church. Like you said, they're around their friends 5 days a week, and they go to church 1 day a week. And depending on what they see at home, because every family has a different story, and what am I trying to say? Every family has their variation, single mom, single dad, 2 parents together, or step parents, and things like that. And I'm sure that the kids are completely influenced. Children are influenced by what they see and what is normal to them. And so, we teach this in church. I mean, how I have aunts that are single or that have been divorced or never married, and how must they feel sometimes when they're sitting at church and talking about families, and how, well, okay, so they don't have a perfect life. They're not married, or they're divorced, or they've never been married, and they never have children, and yet, these kids are going to grow up seeing these people and yet talking about eternal families. And I think for us as people who have influence over children, need to discuss with them the different possibilities of families, even within the church, not necessarily same-sex marriage or things like that, but it's okay to have not the perfect family, because you're still a family,
Yeah, sure.
Anyway.
I like what you said. I like what you said about the children are influenced by the example around them, which is completely true, because even though I didn't have a great example growing up, my mom and dad obviously got divorced, and when I was young they started separating, divorced, and I really fought against getting married and not wanting what my parents had, and then having kids and not treating my kids how I was treated for the most part when I was a kid. That's really hard to accept and to change. How that your knee-jerk reaction, if you will. If your kid's doing something and you were yelled at as a child, you're gonna turn around and yell at your kid because that's how you were taught. And it's, if you don't want to yell at your kid like that, then it's really hard to stop and kind of be aware of what's going on, and then to change that habit or reaction within you. So yeah, it's completely, I agree with that 100%. That's exactly true.
Yeah, it's a hard cycle to break.
Yeah.
It really is.
And we're not perfect. That's the hard part, is we're not perfect.
Yeah, it would be a whole lot easier if we were.
I don't know about you, but I am. I have 4 people that will tell you that I am. I'm the perfect parent. Oh, shit.
And
Just smashed my
helpful.
daughter's foot. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
so.
shoot. No, okay, let's move on. So,
I think I accidentally skipped a question, but it's
Oh.
okay. I'm blonde. I have a good excuse. So,
no, it's okay.
okay. So the second one was, why do you think it is important that we study the doctrine of the family at the beginning of the semester as opposed to the end?
I said we can't win the battle if we don't know what we're fighting against.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's a good setup for the class too. Like, you know, when we have questions later on in the semester, when we start, you know, looking at different things, we can always come back to this and say, okay, well, this is the foundation. This is what it's all about. And hopefully it can help us answer the questions from there, you know.
Yeah, well, I also think it's important. I kind of like thought about it as like a puzzle, you know, or like a pattern. In order to know where you want to be, you kind of need to know where you ought to be. So I think studying the doctrine of the family is important, so that way we have a framework to plug everything into. Like you know, when you make a puzzle, you sometimes put the frame around it, and then you plug the pieces in to make the whole picture.
That's a great way of putting that.
What was that? What did you say? In order to know, what did you say?
In order to know, I don't remember. Something about.
I think this is being recorded.
Yeah, there you go. I don't remember. I just something like in order to know where you're going, you have to know where, like, what is. Oh, I can't even. I don't know now.
Kind of like the Alice in Wonderland and the Cheshire Cat. I remember that, and he says, you know, which where, you know what I mean, like where are you going? And she says, I don't know, and it says, well, the Cheshire Cat says, well, then it doesn't matter which way to go, because if you don't know where you're going, I can't tell you where you're gonna end up. You know, it depends on what path you're on. That's what you. Well, that's a.
Something just like that.
In order to know where you're going, you have to know something to that. Something like
that. Yeah, something like that.
Something intelligent.
Here, put your head over here.
Okay.
This is my 5-year-old. Right there.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi.
All right, go on. Go to bed.
Okay, so the last question. Should we do the last question? What doctrine and principle, if understood, would motivate the Latter-day Saint to advocate for the family?
The plan of salvation.
Yeah, exactly. I said the part. Yeah.
You know, like that's all it takes for me. You know, I mean, there's nothing more than I love than my family, and I want to be with them forever. So I'm like, okay, if you're gonna tell me that I can have them on the other side, that's all it takes for me. I'll do whatever you ask me to do. I'll stand up for whatever it is that's gonna give me that. So that's motivation enough.
I said the plan of salvation and the proclamation of the family. But I think the proclamation of the family lays it all out and gives us our responsibilities and what we should, like, expectations and responsibilities. And at the end it says, well, if you don't do these things, you know, you will have to stand in front of God and answer for you. Right? That's a good motivation for me right there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want.
Have you guys all been to the temple?
Yep.
So it reminds me of that part.
Yes, the temple.
If you don't walk up to every covenant you make at this temple this day, you're going to be in my path.
I've never seen anybody get up and walk out, but I've heard people like stand up and walk out. I'm like, seriously?
Really?
And you know yeah, it was like, wow. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to stand up for if you're unsure, I guess.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
We're confused. Go ahead.
And something that was coming through my mind as you are all talking about the plan of salvation. There's one thing to like know of the plan of salvation, and there's another to like be converted to the plan of salvation. And I feel like that's something that like I'm not a parent, but just kind of like helping like our children and our family to be more converted to the plan of salvation, you know, and to like know for themselves and to feel it in themselves that it is true, because they can have the knowledge that a man and a woman and they give birth to children, but do they feel it? Do they know it? So that's just something that stood out to me. Not just knowing it, but being converted to it.
Right, and have a testimony of something and to have faith
Mhm.
that it will, that it's,
Yeah.
because you can know a lot of things, but you don't, whether if you believe it or if you have faith in it is another
Mhm.
way. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Okay. So is you guys, I guess we didn't pick anybody to summarize it. Are we done? Like, that's the last question. Does anybody have any ending comments or thoughts that they'd like to add in?
Are we going to go over the list? Are we going to do that, or are we not going to do that?
I think we can go over it real quick. I think we're supposed to.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just go over mine first, and then if you guys just want to go over yours afterwards.
Mhm.
What I put down for number one was two or more people who share goals and values, have long-term commitments to one another, and usually reside in the same dwelling place. I did that as number one. For number two, I said that all members of the household under one roof. Number three, a fundamental social group in society typically consisting of one or two parents and their children. Four, a group of persons sharing common ancestry. Five, a group of individuals deriving from a common stock, the family of human beings. Six, lineage, especially distinguished lineage. Um, Seven, a group of things, a class.
Ditto.
Oh, really?
Are you serious?
Yeah. I did
Wow,
that.
good. Good.
Yeah, so that's, I'm like, oh yeah, oh yeah. I said
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, then you don't even have to talk.
No kidding. That's awesome.
All right. Who wants to go next?
You want to go, or I can go? No big deal. I'm just going to read off the numbers. Is that okay, since you already read off everything?
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, so I did, let's see, numbers, the first one I did 1, 4, 3, 5, 7, 6, and 2.
Okay. So we were all, you and me were completely different.
I know, exactly.
Sweet. Well, mine is totally different. So I don't even know what I was thinking, but this is what I came up with. It's a wait, four, wait, five, a group of- yeah. Okay, so I came up with four, and then 3, 6, 7, 1, 2, and 3. Yeah,
Okay.
it's really out of I don't know, but that's something I just came up with. Yeah,
Well, that's okay.
I guess.
We're all different, right?
Yeah, we're all different, and I guess I was just like thinking more of like a different way of just like more of like the household and then science too and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
anyway,
No,
yeah.
that's just fine.
Mm.
Okay. I think, do we need to go over the group stuff, or is that, do we do that? No.
So,
Oh, the summarizing, I think, is what it is.
Oh, yeah. I guess any other thoughts or comments?
'cause I think we need to go over the like challenge, like what was
Yeah.
challenging about the activity and stuff.
Yeah. I'm trying to pull it back up.
About the About the questions or about grouping?
I think about the question. I don't know. Yeah.
Hold on, I'm trying to pull it up. Okay, yeah, we're supposed to answer these questions. The first one is, what was challenging about this activity? I'm just going to first off go off and say getting a time together to meet with everybody, working through the technology problems, trying to find each other. After that, I think everything went a lot smoother.
Right. I agree. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I agree too. And I think we already answered the second question.
Yeah, I think we've answered the rest of the
Yeah.
questions actually.
Okay.
Okay, so a lot of these look like the same ones then.
Mhm.
Okay, so they're just saying that we needed to talk about these together then.
Okay.
Okay, so now we just need to just kind of summarize it. Okay, so does anyone want to do that, or do you guys want me to do that?
Oh, go for it. You're doing good.
Okay. Well, I mean, okay, so I think basically what I'm going to pull up my notes too, just in case. I think what we have come to the conclusion, girls, we found the readings to be significant, but we all found different things, which I like that because it kind of helps you see things differently, or because we all think about things differently, so it's nice that we all had something different to contribute. We all thought it was important to start learning the doctrines of the family at the beginning of the semester, so that we kind of basically had a bigger picture of where we're trying to go. Like Hillary said about the puzzle. When you're doing a puzzle, you have the end goal in sight. So it's kind of like learn what you want to do in the beginning, set up your framework so that you know how to get there in the end, and fill in the puzzle pieces. I think that's what she said. So we all seem to understand that really well. And then we all
Oh.
understand the doctrine of the family, because of the examples that have been set not only at church and in their own families, but it's because they're taught those things at a young age, and so they can see them. Whereas those who are not members of the church, a lot of times have a harder time understanding the doctrine of the principles of the family because they were not really taught those things, because the world is starting to live completely different. And so the youth in church seem to understand, whereas those who are not in the church do not quite understand as much as those of the people in the church. We all came to the conclusion that what would motivate us as Latter-day Saints to advocate for the family was the plan of salvation, and what was the other one that we said, guys?
The
family
proclamation.
Yeah, so those are the two that we all kind of agreed on and thought about beforehand, and how they just go hand in hand with each other. And the family is going to be what's most important in this life, and it is what it motivates us to do anything good. And then, so after we discussed those things, we went through our list of the list from 1 to 7 of the different, I don't know, I guess order of the family. Is that how you would put that? But 2 of us actually had the same exact answers, and the other 2 had completely different answers. So it was a nice, different, I don't know, different bunch of answers there. Diverse answers.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically that kind of just ties it all together. I think we all brought good points in, and had some of the same views and brought in different views, and so I think it was a well-rounded conversation, ladies.
I agree.
Sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thanks so much.
Have a good night.
Okay, good night. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.